O'Brien.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Tommy O'Brien, coming to you live from TFNN Friday afternoon, final hour of the trading week, and we have markets rejoicing at all-time highs across the board right now, S&Ps. So we get an inflation print, pretty remarkable, the context we sit in. In most other situations, folks, you get an inflation print that's going from 2.9% to 3%, and we kick it off. That's the number we got this morning. Okay, inflation edges up to 3%, but less than expected. Now, the number that the market was looking for, okay, was 3.1% on both the headline number and for core, and they both come in at 3%. Okay, August was 2.9. Inflation's going up right now, and when you're going up and you're still near 3, looks like when they were saying the last mile is going to be the hardest, here we are. We're at 3%. The Fed, next Wednesday is their decision, but guess what? The market thought it was going to be 3.1%, so it's actually light versus expectations. And yes, month over month, prices up 0.3% in September. Folks, you multiply that times 12, and you get 3.6%. Not exactly how it works, a lot of variance, but the expectation was 0.4%. Core prices on a monthly basis up 0.2%. Lawn care services going up, folks. School, daycare, and preschool up more than 5%. This is from a year earlier. Electricity, health insurance, dining out, shelter, the overall number at about a 3%. Groceries under that number. Personal care products and decliners, gas, cell phone service, and tickets to sporting events. So gardening and lawn care up 13.9%, certain items. Long-term care and the elderly at home up almost 12%. Those are up big numbers from last year. University of Michigan Consumer Sentiment Index falling to 53.6 in October from 55.1 in September, voicing frustration about persistently high prices. So we will see where we go. But we have a Fed that meets next Wednesday, and we take a look at these markets on a daily basis. You know, we're a little light on the volume on this pop, folks. We'll see how the week comes in. We'll see how the daily comes in. You take a look at this volume. We trade lower on Wednesday with 1.8 million on the S&P futures. We bounce on 1.3, and today we've done 954. Now, you'll get some volume in the final hour of the trading week. That's the S&P futures. You jump over to the SPY right now. Yeah, yesterday's number 65.6 million. We've only done 42 million today. Okay, this market just drifting higher, but not exactly with volume, and that's putting it lightly. Okay, NASDAQ 100, you see the drop off. Now we'll get some volume in the final hour, of course. About less than 400,000 contracts right now. We did 522 yesterday. You did 684 on the trade lower on Wednesday. Jump over the Qs. We're probably going to beat yesterday's volume, but not going to get above the day we saw on Wednesday. You're at 61.4 million on Wednesday, you trade lower, and we're breaking that high on 36 million so far. So we jump over to yields. Everything is expectations, and it is pretty remarkable that you're talking about a higher price, lower yield reaction on a 3% inflation number when the Fed's supposed to cut in 5 days. Now, we gave up most of that gain, though. We're at 113.14. There's a lot of cuts already priced into this market. We've been bumping up against higher price right now in the 10-year. We made it to almost 3.93, 3.95. Back it up to where we were this week for higher price. And we're sitting right at 4% right now on the 10-year. You jump over the dollar. The dollar right now, flat for the session at 98.93. We've had dollar strength. And gold saves itself a bit. Quite the trade lower, but all things considered, 41.31. Now you take a look at the weekly. Okay, giving up a lot of last week's gains. You take a look at that daily volume. You got a lot of selling in the red when this thing was ripping lower. And in terms of the weekly volume, we're probably going to be under the 1.7. Okay, do 330,000 on Monday. 520, that's about 850. That's 1250. That's 1.3. That's 1.55. Look at this. You're going to be at 1.85. It's going to be close. Yeah, you're going to be pretty close to this bar. You're going to have more than 1.7. You're going to have a big red bar, almost akin to the volume we had the week of October 13th, trade lower. Jump over to silver. Silver off about 23 pennies right now on a daily basis. Look at those selling bars. You look at that light pop. Look at yesterday. 67,000 contracts on silver yesterday. You rip lower on Tuesday with 155,000 contracts. On Friday, 180,000 contracts. Look at the days we had the prior weeks. There's some selling. Jump over to the VIX in this market. 1633. The volatility disappears in this market as the market proceeds higher. Right back to the range it likes between 16 and change when the market reaches those highs. All right, in terms of what else we have going on in the chip sectors. AMD, IBM, yeah, they're going to use their chips for quantum computing error correction. So AMD's trading higher, that they can utilize the company's chips to run a quantum computing error correction algorithm. Whew, man. IBM plans to launch a particular type of large-scale quantum computer by 2029. These 3 to 4 year ventures that these companies are on right now. AMD, man. Now, the one thing about AMD, folks, on a daily basis, we're going to get some good volume today. But geez, even on this, right? You have that day out there from October 15th. You do 108 million. We make a high that day that's about 240. You make a high at 239.24. We gap above that today. You're probably not going to have the volume on a daily. You go to IBM, so AMD up by 7%. Look at IBM. Look at IBM on their earnings, man. Look at that. They miss on earnings. You plow higher, and you do it again today. Look at this chart of IBM. You know, this is a great example, folks, of how channels, you break out of channels, you have downtrend channels, right? You break out of that downtrend channel. That was like an 8-9 year downtrend channel on IBM. And then, what's the market figure out? We're not on a high enough trajectory. You break out of the upward channel, you come back, you test it in the beginning of last year, and you take off like a rocket ship. IBM up by 8.2%. Markets at highs. We'll come right back.